Welcome to The Good Pod, where today we're talking about The Good Wife, Season 2, Episode 20, Foreign Affairs. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Reed, and with me, I think it's Marissa Garza. I'm not sure. She doesn't have her face on the screen. I think she's doing a Hugo Chavez on us this episode. I do believe it is Marissa Garza. Marissa, you good?
I'm good, Jason. I can change the pod whenever I want to change the pod, you know? Like, it's my pod. I could change it. I could change it at any time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is me. It's me. Don't worry. I'm here.
Yeah, Marissa does have veto powers on our podcast. She can change whatever rules she wants to change about this podcast, whenever she feels like it, whatever the mood strikes. But yes, we are here to talk about episode 20, season 2, The Good Wife. Good episode, Marissa. I enjoyed the episode. It was a lot going on. Going on with a devastating ending for our girl Alicia. We'll talk about all that, but before we get too much into it, I want to remind you some free and easy ways you, I'm talking to you. No, not you, you can help this podcast. You can do that by subscribing anywhere you listen or watch. That will help you get information about when our new shows are coming out, and also will help other people learn about the podcast, because the algorithm will say, hey, people like this show. Let's put it in the people's eyes and ears. You can also help us out by rating and reviewing the podcast. You can review on things like Spotify, giving us 5 stars. You can also leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts along with your 5-star rating. We really love those. You can also just email us and to talk about the show, talk about The Good Wife, talk about our podcast, whatever you want to talk about, at thegoodpodfeedback@gmail.com. As always, thank you so much for rating and reviewing us. Yeah, Marissa, your thoughts on this overall episode?
I just want to say,
go.
Oh, well, but ratings and reviews and emails are all part of our éxito strategy.
Yes, of course. Our success strategy. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. And we appreciate everyone's participation in it. But yes, I also thought that this was a fantastic episode. It was so much that everything was so intertwined that I couldn't really break it into chunks like I usually do. It's just a really great episode from top to bottom. And I think that's like the best way to go through it all. It touches on a lot of different storylines, closes up some storylines. So it was pretty good. In my opinion.
Yeah, in your opinion, in my opinion as well. It's very important that we state in our opinion. Unless you are a famous actor,
should we talk about it?
Unless you're a famous actor, then you don't have to say in my opinion. But yeah, let's get into the episode as a whole.
All right. Well, the episode opens with Alicia looking at a house in Oak Brook. Okay, I need to put everyone's geological mind. Oak Brook is a western suburb of Chicago. It is not in Chicago proper, which is fine. But later in the episode, when Alicia says, I'll be there in 20 minutes, there is no humanly possible way to get from Oak Brook to the loop of Chicago where she works in 20 minutes, unless there is no one on the expressway. So just for, just for those geographical purists out there, that is an incorrect statement.
Nice.
But she is looking at this house in Oak Brook because there's been this whole conversation about will they stay in the apartment? Will they go somewhere? And they are looking at this massively huge house in Oak Brook.
And I think it's interesting because we talked about last episode where Alicia's making more and more concessions, the more comfortable she's getting being back with Peter, being back in this kind of, wow, what am I trying to say? Politician's wife phase. She's getting more and more comfortable with it. And it's crazy that the more and more comfortable she's getting, then a bomb's going to drop on her to let her know no, you should not have been comfortable. You should not have been doing these things. Peter's still hiding things from you. So it's so interesting that she's now doing these things hey, maybe I am okay with moving back to this big old house from an apartment where I was comfortable because I'm doing this for Peter, for our family, blah, 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 only to, at the end of the episode, have this happen to her.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting because you see her, she's kind of liking it, kind of not liking it. The realtor at the end says what's wrong with being tempted? While she's there, she's getting a lot of phone calls. We get a phone call from Eli who says hey, Wendy's husband's doing an interview. I just want to let you know. I just want to keep you up to date. You might get a phone call from someone. And also you're coming in for the returns, right? You're going to be here for the call of the race.
I also wonder, why aren't we seeing Wendy anymore? We stopped seeing Wendy Scott Carr a few episodes ago. It was she's still in the campaign. I just don't know why we have stopped seeing Wendy Scott Carr. Was the actress busy? I don't know.
We also haven't seen to keep your like tracking of black actors on the show. We haven't seen a lot of black actors
No,
since Bond
nope.
left. We haven't seen Julius
All right.
again, and we haven't seen
Yeah, all
Wendy.
right, Julius, we don't need you anymore. Be gone.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird. Okay, so Eli calls. She also gets a call from Andrew saying, "Hi, I'm a private investigator. I'm trying to get in touch with you." And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Call my assistant. We'll get back to you." And then she also gets a call from Natalie, who's apparently been hired as an intern, and she's been working on translating some contracts. And she finds out that like one of the contracts may have been translated wrong.
I was like, Natalie's back. Every time I think of the last time I see Natalie, I'm like, oh, Natalie's back in our world. I had no idea. I thought last time we saw Natalie was last time we would see Natalie, but she is back. I was very, very surprised.
She is back. Will also calls and says, like, hey, our client on this oil rig case had a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And Alicia's like, oh, does that mean it'll be delayed? And he's like, no, 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 we're going forward with the depositions. And she's like, okay, I'll be there as soon as I can. And she does reflect and say, like, sometimes I do miss my old house. So she's at least thinking more about moving now than she was before when she was having this conversation with people. Wendy's husband does have that interview. He handles it very well as well. He's, asked about Alicia and Peter's marriage, and he's like, every marriage needs space. And Eli and Frank are watching this, and Frank is like, okay, like, we can't sit by anymore. Alicia's gonna have to say something. Eli, you're gonna have to get Alicia to talk. And Eli's like, yeah, but I promised her I never would. And Frank's like, oh, you promised her, huh? Like, okay.
Yeah, so much. Yeah, your promises mean so much, Eli. Yeah, great job. Get her to speak. I don't know what you talk about promises for. And yeah, the Wendy's Got Car husband interview was. They brought the little kids out and everything to like even to make even more of an impact. They're asking about the interracial flyers that were bandied about. I was like, yeah, I saw that at my school. Blah blah blah. Like, oh man, this was a big one. This was a big hit to Peter's campaign because you got all you can have. You got the spouse, the kids. That's a pretty big deal in a political race.
Yes, yeah, and especially so close to the end.
Yeah.
Like. They're really going on all cylinders there. We do get a glimpse and get to meet Andre, Natalie's boyfriend, because he's like hanging out while Natalie's like trying to work. And he's like, just, like check out Montreal. And at this point with 2025 eyes, I'm like, yes, Natalie, go. Yeah. Like, go check out Montreal. But at this point, she's like, no, I love America. I want to stay here. I got work to do. Basically, like, what are you doing here? But we do get to meet Andre. In this case, the main case of this episode is against Platico Stillman, who is an oil company that used a contractor for oil drilling in Venezuela. And this contracting company is owned by, it's called Latin Star Drilling, and it's owned by Aida's dad. Luis, I think is his name. Yeah. And Luis had the heart attack. Aida's there in his stead while all of this is going on.
It's such a weird mechanic to use in this episode of like, why do we even need her dad thing? Like, why could it just been her or like some other actor? I was like, it was a weird kind of to put in the episode.
Yeah. Basically, Lockhart Gardner is arguing here that Platico Stillman, was it Platico Stillman?
Yeah, that's right. Platico Stillman. Yeah.
Platico Stillman didn't pay Latin Star Drilling because they wanted to get out of Venezuela because of the changes in their government. I don't know if you remember, around this time, Hugo Chavez came into power, made it socialism, but like also fascism at the same time, and kind of nationalized a lot of things. And so they're saying you just didn't want to be associated with this, so you paid everyone else except for this company because you just wanted to get out of this. And this is when Natalie's Spanish comes into handy because she points out to Alicia that there's a phrase in the contract that was both in English and in Spanish that was titled Éxito Strategy. And Platico Stillman is saying, like, hey, these Latin Star people, they knew exactly what they were signing. So this is not up for debate, except for it is, because in the English, between the English and the Spanish, it's translated as as exit strategy in English, but in Spanish, éxito means success. So like
Right.
if you're reading it in Spanish, you're reading it as a success strategy. If you're reading it in English, you're reading it as an exit strategy. And Platico Stillman is saying like it doesn't matter what languages, and they knew what they were signing, but this is a Spanish speaking company. What do you think they're going to read? It's not the same contract.
Yeah, this guy who I only remember his name being like Francis. This guy's like real pissed. He's like, they knew what they were signing. This is ridiculous. Like, yeah, but it's a legal document, so it doesn't matter. It's, you still effed up by by putting it in the wrong phrasing. I guess is what the issue is here, because I guess the exito could
Yeah.
mean exit or strategy. It's just the way that you phrase it, I guess.
I think it I think exito means success, but like lazy
Well, to
translation,
say exito would be
you
like,
don't just put
yeah,
like an O at the end of any word
yeah,
and it's Spanish.
exito strategio. That's not what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is.
yeah. It's not that. So at this point, they're talking about what they could do. The lawyer for Platico Stillman is like, all right, they got a point, like, okay, let's talk about it. And meanwhile, this guy from Law and Order shows up, who's also known as a U.S. Senator, who's also known as Frank Thomas. Thomas?
Fred Thomas.
Thompson.
Fred
Frank
Thompson. Fred
Thompson.
Thompson. Yeah. He
Oh my gosh, we'll get there. Fred
Yeah,
Thompson.
this was an interesting wrinkle in this episode because it's the actor who is playing himself while also still acting. So there's a lot of things to talk about here, because in the Good Wife universe, I guess Law and Order is a show. They never name check Law and Order. They never say the words Law and Order. We just
Well, they can't because it's NBC
right.
and they're on CBS.
Yeah, we just name check. We just say that show. Like, we never say Law and Order, because we are recognizing this man is the actor who played the DA on Law and Order. We're just like, because this guy is so famous, everyone just knows that. I didn't know that. I was like, who's this guy? I looked him up. I was like, oh, he played the DA on Law and Order. Now, when he was playing a DA on Law and Order, that was before I started watching Law and Order. So I never saw this guy on Law and Order. So I had to look this guy up, be like, who is this? Who's this guy? And it's like, oh yeah, okay, he was the DA on Law and Order. So I just love that in this universe, he is a big deal. Like, he is still like the Law and Order guy, but they can't ever say the words Law and Order or his like
No,
character's name. It's so funny.
they never like mention who he
Yeah.
is like at all. Like never say his name at all. But he's got a whole gaggle of people around him who are like, "Oh my gosh, so you're here!" And basically, he walks up to Will and is like, "Hey, nice to meet you. I'm replacing you on this case because Hugo Chavez just nationalized oil drilling, and so now your client is actually my client because Venezuela owns your client, and I represent Venezuela." And Will's like, "What?" It's like, over my dead body is this happening? Like, what is going
I just
on?
loved Will's confusion, because he's like, wait a minute, like, who's this guy? And the guy's like, I'm the guy replacing you. He's at first he's mad at Aida, because he's like, Aida, like, why would your dad fire us? And he's like, no, like, you don't get it. Her dad didn't fire you. Like, now that company is our company now. It's Venezuela's company. So, and I am the lawyer for Venezuela. And Will's just looking at him like, huh? Like, what? You could do that? Like, Will has no idea that this is what's happening. And I just love that love
Like,
of confusion that for Will.
Will head would explode if he was alive in 2025, like a real person in
Yeah.
2025,
Oh
because
yeah.
that's what's happening. Like, these are moves that America is trying to make by nationalizing certain parts of our world.
Yeah.
So yeah, like at this time though, this seemed even ridiculous to us, even though we are currently living in that situation. Yeah. So we'll find out what happens there. Meanwhile, Eli asks Alicia, like, okay, like I know I'd never was gonna ask you this, but I kind of have to ask you this. And she's like, you said you never asked me this. He's like, I know I did, but we really need this because the fact that you're not talking is actually saying a lot more than if you were to say something. And so we need you to go out there and we need you to speak. And she's like, you're really like laying it on thick here. And he's like, I believe in Peter. Like, I got to do what's best for Peter. I believe in Peter. And he says that he doesn't believe in Wendy because Wendy's idealistic and the world chews up idealistic people, which just shows how I think at a heart Eli is quite idealistic, but
It
It shows his
It's
cynicism.
just a weird moment for Alicia. Like, oh yeah, like why do you believe in Peter? Like, why are we doing a belief check on Eli? I'm not sure what her point was in that. And but Eli was laying this on so thick. He's just like, do you want to really be the person that 3 days from now you look back and say you were the reason why Peter lost? It's like, oh, like you're really like putting it all out there on Front Street. Like that's how hard the press is for Eli to actually get Alicia to do this.
Yes. And after Eli or Alicia leaves that conversation, Eli looks down the hall and sees Natalie. And
Oh,
of course, like if this was a telenovela or something, there'd be like the like swoon music,
mm-hmm.
like woo, like it'd be like this moment. And they have a little conversation. Natalie's dad is working on a citizenship. They're quizzing each other. Did you know that there are 27 amendments to the US Constitution?
Hell no.
If you don't, if you're listening and you do not, you can order free constitutions from the ACLU. Please do so. Please
I
make sure you know your rights and your what it says on paper.
know.
It is important.
Because I don't know anything about anything, but it goes to
No, you do.
huh? I do what?
You do know things about stuff,
I
Jason.
mean, I do,
Don't talk later.
but I didn't know there was 27 amendments. I had no idea. And so like it just goes to show that the qualifications for people to gain citizenship in this country is a lot
Yes.
more than the people that were actually born in this country. So it's kind of that crazy
Yes.
like dichotomy of like the people that had to gain citizenship know way more about citizenship than the people that were actually born here. So it's just a crazy thing to think about when you actually like break it down.
Yeah, and I always think about that in the immigration discussion of like immigrants are ruining the nation. I'm like, they are the most like careful stewards of the American dream and America as a whole and everything because they have to do all of this stuff to become a citizen.
Yeah. There
I don't think American natural born citizens would take their citizenship for granted if they had to go through the
yeah,
process that it took to become a
if we
citizen.
just mixed up everyone in the country and was just like, all right, prove you belong, prove to me that you are a citizen of the U.S. Prove to me that you know your stuff about the U.S. Go ahead. If you can prove, you can take this test and prove you know anything about the country, you are allowed to come in. Most American citizens that were born here would fail, would just totally not get
Yeah.
into the country.
Yeah. I used to be a teacher that taught the US Constitution test to eighth graders and high schoolers. And I was like, you have to know this. Like, I will find you in 20 years, which I haven't. But like, I need you to like get this ingrained in your mind because this is what it takes to be like a true citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, that's my immigration is always my soapbox. Eli will invite Natalie to the victory party if there is a victory party, but there is a party.
Mm-hmm.
And she is like, I don't think that's such a great idea. Let me just scoot on over, kiss my boyfriend, say goodbye. I got to go to work. And then Andre comes up to Eli and is like, you, Eli? Like, I know about you. I'm younger than you. And he's like, okay.
Andre is like, I don't know what accent they were trying to do for Andre, but it was just very like you could tell they were trying to make him Canadian. I'm not sure they really succeeded. Like he's trying to like be French Canadian. I was like, this got a weird little tinge to his accent. But yeah, he's definitely a little insecure because Natalie's probably done nothing but talk about Eli the whole time that they have reconnected. He's like, oh, so you're this Eli guy, huh? That helped her get her father out of prison or whatever. Like you're not so tough. Like you're old. Like you're old and I'm young. This is basically like his big argument of like stay away from my girl, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Back in the conference room, they're trying to figure out what to do with this case now that Venezuela is involved. And Natalie comes up with the idea of like, hey, there's a law in Venezuela that says before something can be nationalized, there must be a 3-month period where they figure out what the market value is for this industry. And so everyone is just like, how do you know this? Like, who are you? And she's like, well, I know this because, well, I was trading. I did this and I did that. And Will's like, okay, again, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, why are you here? And Diane's like, we hired her to help with her citizenship. Like, yeah, but she's good for it. She's good for it.
Yeah, by the end of this episode, I'm just like, why aren't y'all begging Natalie to come work for you full time?
Right?
Like, because she was a hero on this case, not only with the translation stuff, but just her basic knowledge, not even her basic knowledge, her expert knowledge on so many things was so helpful to this case. I was like, why aren't you like begging her to come work for you at this point?
Yeah. Will takes this information to Fred Thompson and basically Fred's like, no, this is gonna work. We're just gonna have to go to court. Like, let's do this. Let's get this ball rolling. again, this is like a very busy day at
Mm-hmm.
Lockhart Gardner, because then like the next thing that happens is Andrew shows up at work, talks to Alicia, and is like, "Hey, I hit a dead end. I hate dead ends. I just need to know, like, is there any reason why Blake, who used to work here, would be talking about you in any way, shape, or form? Because that's what I heard. That's what I know what's going on. What do you know about this?" And she's like, I don't know what, I don't know anything about this.
Do you think Alicia thinks that Blake knew something about her and Will, and that was the big bombshell he was trying to drop? Because at that moment,
Probably.
Alicia looks at Will. She's like, "Oh crap! Like, did he know about me and Will's like slight possible dalliance? And that's what he's going to. That's what he was telling Matan about. Oh no! Oh my God! No, Alicia. Poor Alicia. That's not what it was.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because this case now has to deal with Venezuela, we get Hugo Chavez, or at least the good white version of Hugo Chavez on the screen with no head.
No head. This was,
He's just
and this is a good wife like ingenious thing to do. Like they do this type
yes.
of thing like a lot, where we do this like off the wall kind of crazy thing by like not showing this man's head. Like he's here, but he's not really here because you don't see his head. It was so funny.
Yeah, and they're like arguing the case, and he's like, "You're the DA." To Fred Thompson, "You're the DA. You can decide. Like, tell all this stuff." And Fred has to be like, "No, I'm not the DA. I just play one on TV." And he's like, "You could tell him. Also, call Sean Penn. Call Sean Penn. Get him involved. Like, we can we can do this." And meanwhile, like as he's saying this, like we're getting one translation from Fred Thompson's side of the table, and Natalie stands up and starts translating what he's like really saying. And what Chavez is really saying here is like, "I'm the sole owner of all of this oil, and I deserve it, but also be nice to Courtney Love because Courtney Love deserves an Emmy." Like he did have like all of this stuff. And then Diane's like, "Okay, but there is this law in your country about the 3 months." And he's like, "There's no more law. I'm changing the law."
Yeah, law's over.
It
Law's no longer law. I'll do whatever I want.
was hard for me, as I'm sure listeners are probably tired of hearing me say, but it was hard watching this with 2025 eyes, because I can only imagine that we've had actual conversations like this happening
Mm-hmm.
in our White House in some way,
I
shape,
can
or
do what
form.
I want. No one's gonna tell me what I can and cannot do in my country. Okay.
Get me Elon.
Uh,
Everybody loves Elon. And a Diet Coke.
My
So
hamburgers.
at this point, the lawyer from Platypus Stillman comes up to one and was like, "What are you guys doing? Like, we might as well just like schedule these depositions for like 2012, like next year." And Will's like, "No, we're gonna go to court. We'll be ready by this afternoon." At this point, Diane pulls in Alicia and says, "Hey, just take the day off. Why don't you just like, take the day off? You should just take the day off." But there's too many voices. First of all, when do they ever say that? There's too many voices. And Alicia's head goes to the conversation she had with Eli this morning and is like, "Was this Eli who asked you?" And Diane doesn't really answer. And Alicia storms out and she calls Eli and kind of like reams him out about this.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, you just want to take like, I don't know, the hours of 4 to 8 off because you may have something to do at 4 to 8, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I don't know. And like you're right, Alicia clocks it immediately, like, no. This ain't cool. Like and she like almost straight up cusses Eli out, like, listen, do not be meddling in my life. Eli, of course, has no idea what she's talking about. He's like, Alicia, are you okay? Like you sound upset. She's like, no, shut up. Let me talk. Let me say something. Like, do not be meddling in my life. I've been working on this case for a year, and now you call my mom and tell her not to let me on the case. Basically, like that's what you did. You called in sick for me. Like no, that's not gonna happen. We're not doing this ish. And at that point, it's like, did Eli do this? But Eli seemed to be really, really just like not. I'm just like, what are you even talking about? So it's like, okay, maybe it wasn't Eli.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, well, and I think he was just like, "Okay, well, I can't. I don't know what that was." Like he's just so kind of like, "Okay,
Mm-hmm.
whatever." Like, got to stay focused. Got to keep moving. So Will and Diane take Fred Thompson to federal court to figure out what the heck is going to happen with this case. And anytime we go to federal court, at least in this season of The Good Wife, we are in front of the one and only Anna Gasteyer, who is the also one of my favorite judges on the show because she makes everyone say, "In my opinion," before this. So Will and Diane are like up on this. They're like, "Okay, I know what we're gonna do. We're just gonna press on the "in my opinion." So they are like in my opinioning all of this time. And then Fred goes to say something and they're like, "Don't you mean like in your opinion? Like, isn't that what you mean? And Anna Gasteyer is like, well, you're so like, thank you for like being so influential with our kids. Like, you're so impressive. Like, you don't have to say it. You don't have to say it. You're in my court. I am so flattered.
Yeah, like they were just like, "Hey, Judge, he's not saying the thing. He's not doing what he's supposed to do, Judge. Isn't that doesn't make you mad?" And she's like, "Oh no, and this guy, he can do nothing wrong. He is Fred Thompson." Did you like? Are you familiar with Fred Thompson in the Law and Order days? Was he
Yeah,
inspirational?
I've watched since the beginning. No.
Like I was just like, why is Fred Thompson the DA on Law and Order so inspirational to people? I was like,
Also, like, because Fred Thompson not only was an actor on Law and Order, he also was a U.S. senator and a Republican. Like, for a judge to say, like, you're so influential and inspirational to me and kids, like, I'm like, that's showing some sort of bias in some sort of way in front of everyone. That's what I would say if I was a lawyer in that
yeah, but
situation.
these judges that we have on The Good Wife, they have no qualms about showing their
They don't,
biases. They have
yeah,
like
no,
no problem with that at all. So I was like, okay, it's fine. But it was just so funny. She's like, oh, Mr. Thompson. Like they didn't even use his name. It was like, oh, you are so cool. I love you so much. So the in my opinion stuff just flew right out the window with her at this point.
yeah. And they're still like asking her, okay, like, well, what do I do? It's like, well, I can, freeze the assets. Or it seems like you have a common interest here. Like, both Venezuela and this company are mad at Platico Stillman. So why don't you like align your case and go against him? These are your choices. And so they decide to align, and now they're both on one side of the table. We get another scene where headless Hugo is there, and they talk about like adding witnesses to the witness lists. And Platico Stillman comes back and says, I can tell you why we didn't pay Latin Star. It's because we don't pay companies that have human rights violations. And this gets like a whole, like, Hugo Chavez is like, human rights violations? Like, I was given an award by Gaddafi,
Oh my gosh.
which not a great,
Not a
not
great
a
sign.
great, no. It's like, I would have no human rights violations. This is ridiculous. Blah blah blah. So Will's like, okay, Kalinda, go like figure this out.
Yeah, dig up some dirt on these.
Alicia, yeah. Alicia asks Kalinda like what's going on with Andrew. That is just like a in passing type of thing. Frank shows up in Diane's office, and this is again Alicia's like beautiful mind moment coming together because she realizes it wasn't Eli. It was Frank. She didn't take into account that maybe it was Diane's connections with the DNC that may have come into play, and it wasn't necessarily just Eli.
And I love when she confronts Diane about this because she's, she reamed Diane out for being like, "Was it Eli? Eli's the one who told you this, is it?" And Diane's just like, "Girl, just go. Like, I don't want to answer no questions." But this time, when she's like, "Oh, it was Frank, huh?" Diane won't say anything. Diane's just like, she like nods her head, like as if that was different than actually out loud saying yes. It's like I'm just gonna nod my head yes. I'm not gonna say yes because that feels to me like a less of a betrayal to what I was told than just saying the word yes. I'm just gonna slightly nod my head so Alicia gets the picture.
Yes. Yeah. Politico Stillman is now going to question some people that they believe were like victims of human rights abuses by the Latin Star company. And so they're bringing these people up. And we have to remember at this point, Latin Star is really Latin Star and Venezuela. So these Venezuelans who are in front of Hugo Chavez are being asked if there was human rights violation done to them, and they can't really say anything because headless Hugo is literally right there. And it's very dangerous. Like, if they were to say anything, their family who's still in Venezuela would be in a lot of danger. And unfortunately, again, this is quite close to our current reality in terms of how things go down.
Yeah, I mean, Hugo Chavez basically threatens this guy right in front of everyone. He's like, "No, we wouldn't do that, would we? Like this man, Carlos Santos, who I have his name, gonna check on his family, would never say anything like that against me and my country. Would you, Carlos? Carlos like, no, no, I wouldn't. I definitely would not ever say anything about Hugo Chavez and there being human rights violations in the country. I would never do that. I don't know why I'm even here. Like, how'd y'all get me here? Talk about this. I've been kidnapped, Hugo. I did not want to come here. I am not. I did not want to come here and say things about you, Hugo. I want to make sure you know that. It's like right in front of everybody. He's like, nah, I'm not. I'm not doing this.
Like, I left my I Heart Hugo shirt at home,
Yeah.
but it's definitely like tattooed on my heart.
This
Like,
guy's like, you know what?
no.
I get here. How did I even get to this law office? I'm not even sure. What was I thinking? You know what? Never mind, y'all. Everything's all good. Hugo, he's a good guy. He wouldn't do nothing bad. I'm just going. You know what? I'm gonna get up and leave now because I don't know why I said nothing stupid like that. I was just gonna go. I'm just gonna call my family, make sure they're okay for no reason at all. Make sure they're not being held hostage somewhere. I just gotta go. See y'all later.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's good.
Well, and it happens with like three other people, and I am a little surprised that Platico Stillman like didn't foresee this being something that happens, but they were kind of annoyed. They're like, "Oh, do you also have family still in Venezuela?" Like, yeah, and also,
And I would prefer their
like,
heads to stay on
it's
their
Hugo Chavez. I don't know what play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would like their heads to stay on their bodies, so I'm just going to decline to comment right now.
yeah. So Kalinda ends up meeting up with Carrie, and this is the first time they've seen each other since Carrie found out about the whole Kalinda and Peter thing. And Kalinda, of course, needs help from Carrie on on this case. And I just like how Carrie is like, "Walk with me, tell me your troubles." And Carrie uses this as an opportunity to find out from, or Kalinda uses this as an opportunity to find out from Carrie, like, what's up with Andrew? What's up with this person? And like, Kalinda's like, yeah, I know. I really got to talk to Alicia. Carrie's like, yeah, but before you do, like, can you like put in a good word with me, with Peter? Like, have her do that for me? Because, like, I've done like a lot for you. Like, Carrie really has done a lot for Kalinda. So he's just like calling in this one little favor.
Like, he has risked his job several times to help Kalinda, and it's like, Kalinda, I mean, before, very important, before you drop this bomb on Alicia, not after. Can you like ask her about making sure Peter keeps me on? Like, don't like if you can do it today and then drop the bomb tomorrow. I don't want my name associated with your dropping the bomb on her. So like, don't do it right before you tell her. Do it if you can do it like a long time before. Maybe do it today to do it the bomb thing tomorrow. Like, it's just like, yeah, before you get into all that, I need to make sure my job is safe.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't blame Carrie for doing it because like you got Matan, shoring up his side of the gate, and you've got like other people making all these moves. This is like the one move that he has,
Well,
because the child thing isn't going anywhere.
And he definitely needs to make sure that things get smoothed over because, I'm sure that, Alicia and Peter have had some, I don't know, dinner talks, pillow talks, whatever, about how much Carrie is effing with Alicia. So, Carrie's like, yeah, make sure that me and Alicia are good. Like, me and Alicia, our last couple meetings have been pretty good. So I think you can get Alicia to like make sure Peter knows that I'm on her side again, that we're cool again, like we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Alicia shows up at the campaign office and like really apologizes to Eli. It was like, I never would do that. She's like, I know.
Yeah,
so it was like a very cool friendship moment between the two of them.
Yeah, and we talked last episode about the fact that it seems like Alicia's doing more for Peter because of Eli than just because of Peter, because it feels like now she's like, yeah, I'll go and do the interview, like almost as an apology to Eli. It has nothing to do with Peter. It's like, hey, sorry I was a little bit of a jerk. I'll go ahead and do the interview you want me to do. Not for Peter, but because I feel bad that I yelled at you, Eli. It's like, wow, like Alicia's really doing a lot, for Eli, basically. That's how close their relationship has gotten. And you can see it when Eli comes and visits her, like the kind of easy rapport they have when, they're not pissing each other off. So yeah, I think that's a really good relationship that has been built from season 1 to now, is just how they're doing things for each other, basically. It's a really good friendship outside of a colleague relationship, I guess.
And even though there are like political and like family benefits, I guess, in their dealings, like I think it is a true like friendship. They're like, she's not, like you said, she's not doing this to help Peter win. She's doing this to make Eli win,
Yeah.
I think,
And
more than
And I
Peter.
think Alicia has seen over this time that Eli does care about her and make sure that she is protected and okay. And so she's okay with doing these things that Eli wants her to do because she knows that Eli is not going to take advantage of her and is going to help her navigate these waters as well. Because as we see, he's going to coach her through the interview. He coached her through the Petra interview last episode. She knows that Eli's not going to do anything to really screw her over.
Yeah, and there's only like so much time left in the campaign.
Yeah.
So she's like, it's not like I'm not going to be called to do this 20 more times.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just a one-off thing. Yeah. So I always liked the relationship between Alicia and Eli and how it progresses over the series.
Yep.
So Kalinda finds that there was this guy named Esteban that had water in his lungs. And why this is important because it goes towards the human rights violations, but also Latin Star, the contractor that Platico Stillman had used in Venezuela, doesn't have offshore drilling rigs. Only Platico Stillman does. So in this case, now they can go back and say, like, we didn't have any human rights violations. You guys did. It wasn't us. So pay up. Like give us our money.
Boy, Platico Stillman, that was real dumb. That was a really dumb thing for you to do, is to bring this guy forward that not only did not get into an accident on a Latin Star drilling, got an accident on one of your illegal offshore operations. That is real dumb. That was a real dumb thing to do.
It was rough. It was rough. And I also like poor Esteban,
yeah,
being used as a pawn in this situation.
Esteban was trying to make himself some money for him and his family. Or a family that doesn't live anymore, I guess.
Yeah. Eli is prepping Alicia, as you said, for this interview. I, again, impressed with Alicia's answers to questions like, do you forgive your husband? And she, like, says things without saying things. Like, and she's also, like, saying to Eli, because Eli's like, is that a yes? Like, do you forgive him? And she's like, does it sound like I do? That's all that matters to me.
Was I convincing enough? That's all you got to know.
And, Eli asks, like, why do you think Peter has changed? And Alicia says, Peter has seen the inside of a prison, found faith, and seen what he's done to his children. And this brings her some emotion out of her in terms of everything that her family has gone through. And Eli's like, that's great. Like, emotional, but not like too emotional. That's like fantastic. And she's like, no, this is really how I'm feeling. She won't stop working. And Alicia's like, when asked, like, will you stop working? You're a working mom. Will you stop working? She says no. And again, Eli says, just like, stay cool. Like, stay calm, cool, collected. That's all you got to do. And then Andrew calls Alicia again. So, like, it's definitely like that ticking clock throughout the entire episode. And that's why, like, I wanted to present it this way, because those little points just keep escalating with Andrew and contacting Alicia.
Yeah, it's it's just leading up to a big confrontation, and we can kind of sense that this is the episode that things are going to happen, that a shoe is going to drop, this big bombshell is going to blow up right in Alicia's face, and like you said, it's just kind of the anticipation that you're feeling as the episode goes on and on and on, and you're like, Andrew's getting closer and closer and closer to her, and in that moment, things will happen.
Yeah. Will and Diane present the fact that there were human rights violations to Platico Stillman, and Hugo Chavez, headless Hugo, is laughing this up. He's like, I beat W. First I beat George W. Bush, and now I'm beating you. And so Platico Stillman makes an offer of $50 million and a gag order. And Gardner is like, cool.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
We're down.
But Fred Thompson is like, no. And you can hear that there's this conversation happening in Spanish between Platico Stillman and Hugo Chavez. And Hugo's like, it's mine. You're never going to get it. Or it's mine. I want it. And when Platico Stillman's like, you're never going to get it. This is ours. So there's something else at play here. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed how there were conversations going on. Like, that is like my life. Like, like there's conversations happening like in English and in Spanish. So it was very fun to see that on television. But yeah, so it turns out that Hugo Chavez wants this map that Platico Stillman has made. So they go back in front of Anna Gasteyer and is like, hey, like, this map has nothing to do with our settlement. So I I know we were before you before and we joined our cases. Now we're asking you to like sever the cases. And Fred Thompson is like, I don't want to do that. Like a larger settlement is great for everyone. And Anna Gasteyer goes, is that your opinion? And you know where that's gonna go.
Yeah, but I don't know why. Like, why did the shine come off of Fred Thompson for the judge? Because now the judge is like, now you're no longer this beacon of light for me. You now have to go back to the in my opinion stuff. Like, why? I didn't understand why Anna Gasteyer, the judge, or whatever, is just like now not even a team Fred fan anymore. He didn't really do anything to piss her off. I didn't think. He's just like, no, we want to keep going. Like, is it the fact that he is now getting greedy and now wants his map instead of just taking the money?
That could be.
Like, this
Yeah,
map is like
that could be.
this map is like basically a map that Platico Stillman made of places that have untapped oil. So Hugo Chavez wants
Right.
that to get some of that yummy oil for himself, and wants to use Platico Stillman to do that. So I guess, yeah, like I said, I guess the fact that you're like, well, okay, you can't just take the money. Now you want more stuff. And it's pissed off this judge now, and it's making him do the, in my opinion, stuff now.
Yeah. Yeah. So we end this case with Will basically saying, like, look, we want the money, you want the map. If you give Latin Star $86 million by the end of the day, we're cool. Like, we don't have to do anything. And Fred Thompson's like, but you were going to take 50 million before. He's like, yeah, well, things have
Well,
changed.
like he's
You
like,
know,
no, that's the
like,
dictator
uh,
surcharge that we're now going to charge Hugo Chavez, because they're basically saying, all right, Hugo, you pay us 86 mil, and we'll just back out of the case. You can take this
yep.
map thing and do whatever you want with whatever company. We're just going to back out of it at that point. You can do whatever you want. So it's like, all right, fine. We'll pay the 86 million to get you out of our hair to continue this fight against Platico Stillman.
Yes. And Will tells Natalie, you can manage my money anytime. A good job. A good job for Natalie. So that was cool to see.
Yeah.
But then I liked how that case kind of came together and then apart and then together again
Yeah,
at the
it
end.
felt like the case was really took a back seat to a lot of the other stuff happening, and that's been kind of
Yes.
the case with the last few episodes. Feels like as the more of the personal side of this show starts to ratchet up more, the actual cases are kind of like going by the wayside. Whereas in the beginning of like season 1 and season 2, it felt like the cases were such these big things to talk about and do. It took up most of our show time. We have way more to do on the show now, so the cases are just kind of like littler and littler. But yeah, I liked this case. I like the fact that at every turn, Natalie was getting her credit and her due. Like Alicia took the time to be like,
Yep.
Natalie's thanked for this. Like Natalie's the one that did this. Like Alicia wasn't like credit stealing from Natalie, who we know Alicia wouldn't do that in the first place. But I love that Natalie was kind of getting her kudos in this moment, in these moments.
Yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see for sure. Okay, now it's time for Alicia's interview on the TV. And Will is doing his usual ritual of having a drink and watching Alicia on television. And we know what happened last time, so of course we're like, oh. But she's being asked, like, would you ever think about running for anything? You definitely think, the reporter is saying you might have more pull than your husband. Like, you're good at this. And she's like, I'm not built for politics. I'm enjoying my job. Kalinda walks in and sees Will watching this,
Will has to
and
pull his pants like, oh, sorry, my bad. Just watching my girl. Sorry.
well, almost though, because like Kalinda's like, "What do you think?" And he goes, "I think she's fantastic." Like so lovey-dovey.
Boy, if only
And
Tammy
he
could see
goes,
that moment. If only Tammy was in that room, she'd be on the first
"Yeah."
She'd be on the
I mean, I
first
do
flight to
kind of feel
London.
bad. I do kind of feel bad for Tammy, and then, but at the same time, she's not also very committal. Like she doesn't know what to do with this
Mm-hmm.
as well, and so it's like just kind of a mismatch in that situation. But yeah, he is still like Google googly eyes for this woman.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to Kalinda and says, like, what do you think? And she says, I think she just won the election, but you should tell her how fantastic she is. Like, you should tell her, tell her now. Like,
Listen,
telling her is what you should be doing.
go to her, Will. Go to her. Do it now, because you might sweep her off her feet, and then she might not even care the last time with her husband. It was like, what'd you say? She's like, nothing. Don't worry about it. Just go tell her. Just go tell her how incredible she is. Like, she's like,
Yeah, he's like, you're in a weird mood. And she's like, uh-huh.
yep,
Yep. Yes, I am.
sure am, because a lot is about to happen. And it's just like, yeah, Will, listen, she may or may not be freed up pretty soon, so I think you should go tell her how fantastic she is, because she might be free soon.
Make the move. Make
Yeah.
the move. So all of this brings us to election day. We see Alicia casting her vote, and then we see her go to the party at the campaign. And we learn when she walks in that they're holding a consistent lead across Illinois. So things are looking good. The kids are there. She didn't know if the kids were going to be there originally. So, to your point, she is letting some of these boundaries down even more. And we overhear this conversation between Frank and Eli, where Frank is like, okay, well, this is looking great. Like, but we got to move on the next thing, which is getting him to the US Senate. They like his wife. He had a comeback like this. If you get the donors, we will support you. So this is like good news for Eli that he will have backing. In the meantime, Alicia's like, I'm here. Where's my husband? Like, where's Peter? And Frank's
around.
just like, oh, indisposed.
Yeah. He's around. He's here somewhere. He's definitely not off shooting like the Sex and the City movie. He's here. Like, so don't worry about that. He's around here somewhere.
Yeah, he's here. Jackie is singing with the piano.
I love
person, and her grandkids think that she's drunk, and Alicia's like, no, I think that's just her.
No, I love me some drunk Jackie. Drunk Jackie is a really fun Jackie. She's like, she goes into Alicia like, you were fantastic. You made me cry. Oh, the kids, they're just growing up so good. Oh my gosh. She's like, oh yeah, she might be a little drunk. You might be a little wasted.
Yes, and we also hear like she's like, I want you to have fun tonight, and I was like, what are you talking about? But apparently she will watch the kids because they have rooms down the hall. We also get Alicia and Eli acknowledge each other with the cheers. So we see again their friendship showing up. Natalie shows up at the party. I didn't know where this was going to go. I forgot that this had happened. But even though last time we saw Natalie, I thought it was goodbye. I think this really might be goodbye.
Yeah, I think this might actually be the last time we see Natalie on the show.
We find out that Fred Thompson. We find out that Fred Thompson hired her to be a translator, and this means that she has to move to DC. And Eli's like a little disappointed about this, and I think she is too, because she says, if this were another time. So I think she was open to this.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Andre had a reason to be a little concerned at the fact that Eli kept coming up, because I do think if Natalie had her druthers about her and she was still staying in Chicago, she might actually try to make this thing work. And you just see, like, we've seen it all throughout with Eli and Natalie. Eli just has this like he's following Natalie throughout the part. He's like has this like boyish look. He's like, oh my god, Natalie. Like he's got this puppy dog eye look to him, and Natalie has to kind of like break it to him, like, yeah, like, sorry, bro, like I'm gonna be out of the state, and if I was here, we something would happen. We don't know. Andre seems kind of like a jerk, kind of like a weirdo. Maybe I would have dumped him. Maybe I would have gone for you. I don't know. But for now is a different story. I gotta go. Gotta peace out.
Yeah. Who knows? I wonder if anyone wrote any Natalie and Eli fan fiction like about that story. At this point, the race is called for Peter. He has won. Huzzah. And Alicia's kind of just like sitting there, like taking it all in, when she spots or she hears Andrew come up behind her. And he's like, I've been looking for you all day. And she's like, yeah, I know. It's been a little busy. What's up? He's like, I just want to let you know, like, all of Blake's interviews were bogus. Like, the rumor about him sleeping with a coworker, it's got nothing's going on. She's like, why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me all of this? Like, all of it now, especially now. He's like, yeah, it turns out like the person that we thought he was sleeping with doesn't even exist. Her name's Leela. Do you know anyone by the name of Leela? And you see Alicia's like walking out the door at that point, and she stops in her tracks, and she's like, oh no.
She literally has to like hold herself up on a door to keep her like just collapsing, just in grief, because she's like, oh my effing god. Because I don't think, listen, we know that when,
I don't think this was a reality for her until this.
Well, we know that when Alicia first met Kalinda and found out Kalinda used to work for Peter, she's like, I think she even asked Kalinda, like, did you sleep with my husband? And I forgot what Kalinda's response was. Probably a no or something. But she has long since abandoned that idea, because her and Kalinda are so close. There's no way Kalinda could get this close to me knowing that she had slept with Peter. There's no way that could happen. And now her world has just been shattered because there was no way that this was a possibility. Her best friend right now, her best bud. It could have been any other woman, but it had to be Kalinda. The one person it could not have been was Kalinda. That's the only way she could have felt this way about this, would have be Kalinda. And this just shatters her. And I love the way that the show kind of worked around this, because Andrew can't find a record of Leela. So that makes the actual story false. He can't do anything about it because there's no Leela to bring up in
From
front
his
of
perspective.
From his perspective, yeah, because there's no more Leela. So there's no one that named Leela that worked there, because at that point her name was Kalinda. So he can't find any proof of Leela, so he can't do anything about this. So at this point he thinks the story is nowhere. But he does see Alicia's reaction. He's like, do you know Leela? Like, is this like, do you know who this might be? Because I think that was part of this, why Andrew came and told this to Alicia, to get her, to gauge her reaction, to see like, is this really nothing or is this something else? If I was to gauge Alicia's reaction, I'd say, I think this is probably something. But as of right now, Andrew can't go any further with this because there's no Leela to question, there's no Leela to find. But now for Alicia, this means so much because she knows Kalinda used to be Leela. It was like, oh, it was genius the way they did that. Because now, like, Peter only now has to answer to Alicia. He doesn't have to answer to anyone else about this. He has to answer to Alicia about this because she is the one that knows who Leela is.
And after all of the after seeing the inside of a prison, after finding his faith, after never letting his family down again, what does he do? Like, by not saying anything. Because, like, as much as this is like Kalinda not telling Alicia, it's also Peter not telling Alicia.
Yeah.
You know, like Peter could have said in this entire thing, like, okay, I know I'm back in the house. Because I'm back in the house, I'm going to tell you all the things. I need you to know that this happened, and also Kalinda's real name is Leela, and I slept with her. Like, just get it all out on the table, get it out there. He never said anything. So not only is this a betrayal for Alicia with Kalinda, but it's just added betrayal, especially when you're trying to rebuild trust with someone and trying to, you know, do all that stuff. It cuts even, I think, deeper than the original betrayal, because she thought she had kind of built a new bridge and was coming back out of it. And it reminds me of the quote she had a couple episodes ago of like, when the storm is over, is it just relief or is it happiness? And we're back in the storm.
Yeah.
We're back in the storm again.
That was just,
so I do think you're right that like Andrew's intentions here were to kind of gauge his thing. And he also seems like a person that, regardless of what the state's attorney's office says, he hates a dead end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he's gonna keep doing it, and he has nothing else to do other than take care of his kid, which is not nothing, but like this is like his adult hobby activity, you know what I mean? That like to get him out of the house and like do stuff. So he has like the motivation to see this through. And so even though Peter only has to answer to Alicia, like you were saying, there's still like this like threat of Andrew actually finding things out and moving forward.
And you know, it might as well be as if Peter slept with Kalinda last night. That's probably the same.
Yes.
It's probably the same feeling that you would have, because he's been keeping this from her for over a year at this point. And I don't know if it's the fact that he gets out of prison and like talks to Alicia more, and then realizes that she and Kalinda are good friends. He's like, ooh, it's like, I shouldn't do this right now because I'm just now getting back in Alicia's good graces. I can't drop this now because she'll be mad at me all over again. But no,
yes,
you should have done it back then.
Like the more, the higher of the trust mountain you build back up, the harder the fall it's going to be.
Exactly.
So like, if you just start building one little step, just make the fall a little bit less than building like Mount Everest and falling from there.
Because I'm sure Peter's justification to himself is like, she just would never know. Like, she would just never find out. Kalinda's not going to tell her. I'm not going to tell her. Who else would know? No one else is ever going to know. And for whatever reason, Blake knew. I still don't know what this like bulletproof evidence Blake had was to know. I think we just kind of skimmed over that. Like, we don't know how Blake knows. We just know that according to Matan, he had verifiable evidence that this was happening. We still don't know what that is.
Yeah, and he knew it was like one night
Yeah,
and it was a quid pro quo for changing
her name.
Leela's name to Kalinda.
Right. And so I'm sure for Peter, just like, she'll never find out. What she doesn't know won't hurt her. Like, until what she finds out will definitely hurt her bad because she's built up this relationship with Kalinda and she's built this trust back up with Peter. And now all of that has come shattering down. Like,
And she just, like, literally just put herself in front of the public,
yep.
defending herself and her family.
Yep.
And so, like, before, she wasn't in the public eye. She wasn't, like, doing all this stuff. Peter's actions put her in the public eye. And then, so she has to make a statement throughout the end of his campaign. And so she put herself out there. Her reputation's out there. So it's like, it's kind of like a triple whammy of betrayal
Yeah.
in this case. And like, she's probably gonna, if Eli knew, that'll crush her. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many other things that could really kind of really take her down.
Yeah, she's kind of back in the position of the good wife again, where she didn't really want to be. You know, she didn't want to be that wife that's out there in the public eye, caping up for her husband because she know her husband did some wrong crap. But now she's got into a position where, like, hey, you know, that was back then. Peter is a changed man. He's doing this, he's doing that. But no, now he's still keeping secrets from you. He's still keeping stuff from you. So, like, that's just, she let those boundaries down, and the boundaries came back and hit her right in the face. So I'm sure she just feels like a complete idiot for believing Peter and that he is this different person now, and now he's just kind of showing her he's not.
Yep.
And the way she's staggering and crying and just the tears, like, oh my, I feel for this woman so hard. Like, this was a Emmy reel episode for Juliana Margulies because she did so, like,
Juliana
within the lead up to the interview where she's like breaking down about her kids and to the revelation and how she's just like acting with her face and with her body emotions was like so great.
Yeah. And at the same time, like, what makes this even harder for her is at the same time, while she is having this, like, all come together in her brain, Frank is introducing the candidate as the victor.
Yep.
First of all, I don't know if they did this on purpose. Like, I'm sure it was a scheduling thing, but it says a lot that Peter did not show his face in this episode at all. Like, he can't even face Alicia, can't face his kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no, I'm sure I'm reading too much into it. But the fact that there is a fake candidate, like, situation here, but, like, everyone's praising her husband who just, like, ruined her entire world.
And they gotta do better with the doubling people they bring, because this guy, he didn't fool me for a second. It was just like there was no like tinge of gray that Peter has in his hair. It was just like a smaller statured guy. Peter's like a bigger guy. I was like, this guy is not gonna fool anyone being Peter Florrick, but that's fine, whatever. But yeah, I was like, why couldn't you, like, in a bit this big of an episode? I don't know if it was his contract said he is in a certain amount of episodes and they're like, oops, we actually overscheduled him. But you would think in the episode that Peter wins state's attorney, you would want him to be in the episode winning state's attorney. But like you said, it might have been a scheduling mix up. I don't know, but it was so weird for him not to be in the actual episode.
Yeah.
I
typical Peter behavior. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I just really hope that Alicia is not confronting the back of his head next episode about the affair. And he actually shows up this time and is face forward.
I cannot remember what happens next. I know I remember where this leads, but I can't remember what happens immediately next. And I think,
listen,
I want to see what conversations she has with Eli. I know you cheated.
Yeah,
I know.
If it doesn't involve a baseball bat and, you know, some things going down happening with Peter and Kalinda, I don't know if it's going to be good enough for me. I'm going to need Alicia to go full rage monster on this one. I don't want her to be like the good wife, being like, oh, like, we're just going to not be in bed together anymore. I want full on, you know, Carrie Underwood took a baseball bat to both headlights or whatever that song was. I'm going to need Alicia to go scorched earth on both Peter and Kalinda, maybe even Eli, who I think Eli is probably innocent in this one. I don't think Eli knew about this. Yeah. And I think that's a great...
No, but I think she'll make a quick assumption.
Yes, for sure. But I do think that it's good that Eli doesn't know, because we want Eli to be team Alicia. So he could be like
Yes.
I would love to see a conversation with like Eli and Peter, like, how could you do this to her? Like, how could you do this to Alicia? Like, I can't wait for that conversation, whatever that is. But I mean, I'm sure in Peter's mind, he's like, I didn't do anything to Alicia. Like yes, I slept with Kalinda, but it was before Kalinda was her friend. I would have slept with Kalinda if she was her friend then. I'm sure he's going to be doing so much justification for this that it's going to fall on deaf ears because, first of all, you shouldn't have been sleeping with someone else beside Alicia in the first place. But now that they are like, after the fact friends, doesn't matter. Like, you just should have done it in the first place. So I cannot wait to see how Peter tries to wriggle himself out of this.
And also the conversations with Kalinda.
Oh yeah.
Like, those no more tequila at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like how are they I can see Alicia not talking to Kalinda because of the situation. Like, just kind of icing her out at least for a while and giving her the look like, I know. Like I know.
Yeah, I'm very,
I'm not
very,
gonna talk about it.
yeah, I cannot wait for that convo and how emotional that's going to be for like a Kalinda. Like, that should just go show you folks, do not procrastinate. Conversations need to be had, because for the last like 3 episodes, Kalinda's like,
Yes.
yeah, I gotta talk to Alicia, I should really talk to Alicia, but because there's no good way to bring this up to your friends, she's just like, I'll do it tomorrow, it's fine, I'm sure I'll just do it tomorrow, and she just spent the whole like week saying that.
And because she's done that, like, now Carrie's life is also in part of this too, because it was like, before you tell Alicia what you did, now there is no conversation. There is no way for her, like, Alicia's not going to listen to Kalinda about smoothing things out for Carrie before Peter takes office again. Like, that's not happening. Like, that's not going to happen. So, I think it also goes to show, yes, have the conversations that need to be had, but also, like, there is a ripple effect to everyone's actions.
Sure,
And
for sure. Listen, I think we're in for a really, really interesting end of the season. We have 3 more episodes left till the end of the season, and I'm sure they're going to be a doozy because, listen, this felt kind of like a season finale to me. I'm not sure if they
it did.
if they had 20 episodes to begin with and they're like, you have an extra 3. So I don't know what the situation was, but we're going to have 3 episodes of maybe Alicia going like scorched earth on her life. I don't know. I don't know what the season finale is going to bring us, because listen, Good Wife season finales tend to be juicy and like real good. So I'm very curious
I
what we're
will
going to get.
also say, sorry, Oakbrook, I don't think the Floricks are moving.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. I don't think so. So we'll see. We'll see. I think we're gonna stay in that apartment for a little while longer. There might be one resident short that was not there the day before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's heating up. I'm loving it.
Yeah, good times, good times. Marissa, you want to tell the good folks where they can find you and all your musings and all your work?
Sure. Yeah. You can find me at itsmemarissag.com. You join my email list. I have a lot of musings there. I also, have like a Substack, and I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky, and the links to everything there. The links to everything is there. Otherwise, I'm here talking with Jason about The Good Wife and Elsbeth. And that's pretty much it for me. Jason, I know you've got a lot going on. Why don't you tell the peeps?
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky at JR33D. As far as podcasting goes, you can find me. Actually, you know what? I don't have that much happening at the moment because I've got this. And over on the We Know Scripted TV side of the Rapaz Podcast Network, you can find me and Saucer Joseph talking about the show Daredevil Born Again. And, our Married at First Sight coverage is over at this point. The season is done. Season 18 is over. There is something in the works that's going to come up with that, but I'm not sure that at the time frame we're in that I can really announce that yet, depending on when this comes out. So we'll just wait till next time to talk about that. But yeah, that's where you can find me right now. So, my podcast schedule is lightening up a little bit, a teeny bit. But yeah, like I said, We Know Scripted TV, me and Sauce Joseph talking Daredevil Born Again, and of course, always here every week talking Good Wife. And when Elsbeth is happening, we're talking about Elsbeth on every week. So check that out as well. And until next time, stay good.